the tennis preacher, the prophet, the psychic, and the pastor. Magic man, the tennis preacher, the prophet, and the psychic, and y'all know the tennis pastor. Alright, coming back at you with I'm going to try to do this quick, because this is an interesting topic. I try to do this as quick as I can, though. Let me keep a lookout on the clock. Okay, people, I want to continue that discussion I had. Well, actually, this is a totally different topic, but it's taken from the comment. You remember I told you all that one of the commenters, I think his name Robert Starr, he made a comment which he was sort of confirming what I was saying, but he was even more, like he was more direct and brutal about it, where I said that if Federer would have been more humble back in the day, when he was playing Nadal, he was a little airy, sort of thought he didn't need to change his game or adjust to Nadal, he would have beaten Nadal. He would have had 30 majors now. He would have won the Grand Slam 2 times probably. Would have beaten Nadal at least half of the times on clay. So Robert Starr said that, pretty well said that. I'm going to sum up what he said that. He said Federer's going to probably pay the price, and pay the price meaning Djokovic is probably going to surpass Federer now, because he, instead of having 20 majors, had he been more humble back in his younger day when he was in that serious rivalry with Nadal, he wouldn't have to worry about Djokovic surpassing him now. Okay, so that's what I want to talk about, people. People, listen here, check this out. Like the title says, I believe that Federer, like Pete Sampras, miscalculated just how great those players like Djokovic would become. And I shouldn't say like Djokovic. He miscalculated how great of a player Djokovic will become, okay? And you may say, well, Magic Man, what do you mean by that? Okay. Okay, people, let me start with the Pete Sampras miscalculation, okay? People, Pete Sampras had no idea that a Federer, a Nadal, and a Djokovic, he really miscalculated, will come this soon after him and break his slam records so soon, so easily. All three, they did it like within a 15-year period. Almost something like that. I mean, y'all can add up the years. I think with Sampras, he retired, what, in 2002? So, yeah, about a 17-year period or something like that, 16, 17-year period. These guys have broken his records. And people, and Sampras, he said now that he probably would have worked harder to win the French Open. People, Sampras used to laugh at the fact. You know, when Federer came along, people, Federer really wanted to win the French Open. He knew he needed it because people would say he's not all around on all the surfaces. People, back in Sampras' day, Sampras was so far ahead of everybody in majors. Sampras is like, man, I don't care about this clay. One time Sampras skipped the French Open, and he would laugh about it. It was actually a joke to Sampras that he couldn't win. It wasn't an embarrassment, people. Now it's sort of an embarrassment to him now. Now that he sees that these guys are more all around from a surface standpoint than he is. But Sampras back in the day, people, he was so far ahead. I mean, he was 6 ahead of Agassi when he retired, and Agassi wasn't close to him as far as majors, and nobody else was even close to Sampras. He already had the most majors in the Open era, first one to get the 13, 14, boom. Sampras wasn't worried about winning no French Open. He laughed about it. He thought it was, you know, actually, I think in Sampras' mind, he actually thought it was funny. He actually looked at it this way. He's so great. He didn't say this now. Sampras was like quite humble guy, but I know in Sampras' mind, he was thinking, I'm so great, I don't even need the French Open. Wow, what a miscalculation. Y'all get it? Now, you say, okay, Magic Man, we got that about Sampras. What did Federer miscalculate? Woo! People, y'all know I talk off the top of my head a lot. Most of the time I'm right. A couple times I may have got some facts wrong, or I could have or maybe I said after the video was over, I said, oh, I should have went and looked that up. But see, sometimes when I'm talking, I have no idea that I was going to be talking about something that I needed to look up. But people, I took and went and looked this up here. Okay, now you must imagine, man, what do you look up? People, I took and looked up how many majors did Nadal, in 2010, at the end of 2010, people, do y'all know Federer had 16 majors? And Nadal only had 9, okay? Federer was still way clear of Nadal. Now, so Federer, people, listen, you may say, imagine, man, what's your point? People, Federer played Nadal to the T. He played Nadal great. When I say played Nadal, as far as the GOAT, people, Federer wasn't worried about Nadal being greater than him. I'm going to tell you this right now. Now, during that time, there was criticism of Federer about Nadal beating him on clay and then eventually beating him like on other surfaces. So that bothered, it bothered Federer that Nadal was beating him. But as far as the GOAT, Federer never thought Nadal was greater than him. Even to this day, he thinks Nadal was really close to him as far as the GOAT. But Federer knows he's the GOAT over Nadal, okay? Just all his achievements and stuff. Federer ain't stupid. Federer got a high IQ, okay? Now, I do think Federer has accepted that Nadal is as good of a player as he is. He's accepted that, okay? But Federer, from now on back, or from back to now, Federer never thought Nadal was greater than him. Trust me on this here. So he played that right. Even when Agassi was saying, how can you be the GOAT? How can you be the GOAT? And how can somebody be the GOAT and they can't be, and they do not have, he or she does not have a better head-to-head with their rivals? Okay? Even that right there, people, most experts, Wikipedia still kept Federer over Nadal as the GOAT, okay? And even that didn't make Federer feel that Nadal was greater than him, okay? That's just a head-to-head thing. All right, so Federer, as far as Nadal topping him, Federer, even with all the weaknesses Federer may have as far as being a GOAT, letting Nadal beat him that many times, Federer still played that sort of right. I would say up to this day. Nadal's close, but he still haven't quite conquered Federer yet as far as the GOAT. But, okay, now, yeah, here's where the buck. So, Federer played Nadal right, okay? Federer feels he's probably still a little more all around than Nadal. And if you look at the stats sort of show that, okay? But here's where the miscalculation comes in that Robert Starr is talking about. There's a guy, Federer had no idea that there was a guy named Djokovic, a Serbian, if you will, that was coming right behind Nadal. And y'all look at this. This is what I looked up, people. This is amazing. People, this, if you guys don't remember anything about this video, remember this stat right here, people. At the beginning, before Djokovic won his second major, the Australian Open 2011, let me make sure I got it right, people, Federer has 16 majors. 16 people, all right? And y'all got to understand this right here. This is what's amazing. 15 or 16. He had one of those, 15 or 16. Let me just say 15. I know at least 15. It could have been 16. Okay, but I'm gonna say 15 to make 15 or 16 to make sure I got the stats leaks right. Okay, people, Djokovic before the Australian Open 2011, people, Djokovic only had one major, the 2008 Australian Open. So people, Federer had 14. At the beginning of 2011, Federer had 14 to 15 majors more than Djokovic. People, if somebody would have said, can you imagine if somebody at that time would have said, hey, the Djokovic is going to surpass Federer? You would have called that person a fool. How in the world is a guy who only got one major going to surpass a guy who's still winning, who's this great, that got 14 or 15 majors more than him. And I'm pretty sure Federer would have laughed at you too. But what a miscalculation. Y'all see what I'm saying? People, understand this. Djokovic, Djokovic got 15 majors now, people. So that means between 2011 and us, as of today, he made up 14 majors. And that's including him being out. Imagine if he wasn't out for a year or a year and a half and had to rehabilitate and all that other stuff from injury. So imagine how much ground he made up. So Federer, believe me, Federer thought he had this GOAT thing wrapped up. I don't care what any Federer fan can get in that comment section. Federer, and I understand why he had it wrapped up. A guy got only one major, and you got, just say beginning of 2011, you got almost 16 majors. How in the world? Just logically, if somebody would have came up and betted me and said, I bet you Djokovic is going to catch Federer, I would have betted him $20,000, $50,000. I would have been in trouble, you know? And yeah, so I want to say that, yeah. So Federer, boy, Robert Starr, we don't know, but he may end up being right. It may be, a miscalculation, okay? And you may say, well, why you saying miscalculate? Do you think he consciously miscalculated this unconsciously? Well, he could have, if Federer would have known that a Djokovic was going to be this good, would he have changed his game? Would he have changed something? I don't know. I mean, who knows? But I'm just saying, whether it was an unconscious calculation, conscious calculation, don't even really matter now. It was miscalculated, okay? And total miscalculation, all right? And people, I need to say this here because this is sort of funny, but I'm being honest about this. This got to do with the Pete Sampras whole Pete Sampras having no idea that someone would, that Nadal, Djokovic, and Federer would top his records, all his little records, not a little records, most of them, so soon. People, listen, it wasn't just Sampras that miscalculated this or had no idea. People, it was also me and most tennis fans and experts. People, I hope I never run into this guy again. I know he's looking for me so he can bust me open. I would have to bow down and admit I was wrong about this. People, I used to go play basketball with some of the black brothers, like on Sunday, around that time when Sampras broke the record, the 13 and 14. And there was this brother, black brother on the basketball court. Okay, he was sort of one of those black brothers that talk a lot of trash, but he was a cool guy now. But he talked a lot of trash on the basketball court. So he said, you old tennis guy, huh? He said, you better stay with tennis and stay in your lane and stay out the basketball court. He said, you try to be like old Pete Sampras. And I said, yeah. I said, oh, so you know Pete Sampras? He said, I heard he broke some old pussy-ass record. I said, what you talking about, a pussy-ass record? What you talking about, man? We were sort of talking trash. I say, you don't know anything about tennis. I say, do you know how long it would be before, it'd be 25, 50 years before somebody break that record of 14 majors. And this guy now, he didn't know a lot about tennis, but he was just sort of talking trash about Sampras. He say, man, somebody gonna break that old pussy-ass Sampras record. Sampras ain't nothing. Boy, I know that guy is looking for me. If he ever see me, he gonna say, man, you got some tennis channel claiming you know so much about tennis, calling yourself the tennis prophet, but I was right. I told you somebody was gonna break that old pussy Sampras records. All right, I hope I never meet that guy. I don't even go back to that basketball court anymore. So just in case that guy is there, because he gonna clown me big time. Okay, but people, not only did Sampras miscalculate this, everybody miscalculated this. And not only that, people, not only did Federer miscalculate how great Djokovic was going to be, or that Djokovic could end up being the GOAT, I think everybody miscalculated that. Now, once Djokovic got going, like by 2013, everybody knew he could possibly surpass Federer, but not before 2011, not even after he won his second major, because Djokovic only had two at Australian Open 2011 when he won that. He only had two majors. Federer had almost 16, okay? So, what a miscalculation that we all made, not just Federer. Okay, people, tennis preacher prophet, psychic. And the purpose of all, you be wondering, why is Magic Man doing all these videos on the GOAT and all this? People, what I'm doing, I'm not just giving y'all some information about the GOAT. You all got your own perspective about the GOAT, but I'm letting y'all know how I look at this whole GOAT thing and this GOAT debate. Okay, people, tennis preacher, prophet, psychic, signing off. Have a good one. Man, tennis preacher, the prophet, the psychic, and the pastor.